I am thrilled and extremely honored to be with you all tonight for this very special event. I'm a very proud American, as you can see all the red, white, and blue Trucking for America trailers. I love this country, but I'm very proud also to welcome the next Vice President of the United States, Governor Mike Pence and his wife Karen. Please give them a round of night. Let's give it up for John Cox. Yeah. Transportation. Thanks for opening up this great American success story. Congressman Dave Brandt. Give it up for Congressman Dave Brandt, a great conservative. Congressman Rob Whitman, who is with us here today. Congressman Whitman, thank you for being here and for your great leadership in Washington, D.C. I'm Mike Pence.
Yes.
Yeah. Karen Pence. A few short months ago, I accepted our party's nomination to run and serve as the next Vice President of the United States of America. And it's great to be in Virginia. Great to be in Virginia, just 35 days away from when Virginia turns red. But I got to tell you, I accepted the invitation to join this campaign in a heartbeat. Because you have nominated a man for president who never quits, who never backs down. He's a fighter, he's a winner, and until very recently it seemed like he was out there fighting all on his own. But now this party is coming together, this movement is coming together, Virginia's coming together, and we're going to make Donald Trump the next president. You know, Donald Trump, I truly do believe, Donald Trump just embodies the spirit of America. Strong, freedom-loving, independent, and willing to fight for what he believes in, and he's going to fight for the American people all the way to the White House, and every day is our next president.
America first!
You know, people ask me all the time, what is it about Donald Trump, right? I have to tell you, I come from south of Highway 40 in Indiana. You know, we speak pretty plainly down my way. I tell people, Donald Trump just gets it. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, he's a builder. He's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers. And like John Cox just said, when Donald Trump does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around all those thousands of rules of political correctness that the media puts in the way of men and women that want to make a difference. He tells it like it is, from his heart, from his mind, and the American people hear him loud and clear. And they're going to send him straight to the White House. The funny thing is, the party in power just seems helpless to figure Donald Trump out. And of course, I'm referring to the media. I mean, seriously, ever since I joined this campaign, I have to turn on the television with a stick every morning. I mean, it's been 2-on-1 ever since I joined this campaign. But the most amazing thing is, even though it's 2-on-1 with the media doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her every day, Donald Trump is still winning hearts and minds every day. And he's going to win. You know, it's kind of funny. You know, sometimes it's like almost every day they come up with something new and different. They say, "Now we got him," right? Now he said this. We can parse that. You with me? He tweeted this. And then,
He didn't kill anybody
and
in
they think they finally got him. And then they turn on the television the next morning and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting for the American people. It shit really is fun to watch, I'll tell you what. The truth of the matter is, what's special about Donald Trump is he's never forgotten the men and women who built this country.
Thank you, Pence!
The people who work with their hands, who grow our food, build our roads and bridges, who tend to our sick, who teach our kids, who protect our families. And I promise you this, that Donald Trump will never forget or fail to support the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement at every level. You know, we got a lot of members of the law enforcement community in Virginia that are with us today. Would you just show the men and women who serve in the uniform of law enforcement how much you appreciate the sacrifices they make in these families every day? You know, as a chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America, I promise you.
Did you drop it?
I promise you, Donald Trump will provide the resources and the tools for the members of our law enforcement community to do their jobs, to protect our families and go home safe to theirs. Donald Trump will restore law and order to every city and every community in this nation. You know, it really is amazing when you stop and think about it. At the very moment when America's crying out for something new and different, the other party has nominated someone with a stale agenda and the most predictable of names. I mean, people in both parties are restless for change. Change from a failed status quo in Washington, D.C., and the other party's literally nominated someone who literally represents everything in the failed establishment in our nation's capital. It is pretty amazing, though. The media is so busy parsing every word that Donald Trump said in the last 30 minutes, they've been ignoring what the Clintons been up to for the last 30 years. But we're going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, come on.
We're going to correct the record, but let's at the outset, can we just decide here and now in the great Commonwealth of Virginia that Hillary Clinton will never be elected president of the United States of America? You know, whether it's security, whether it's prosperity, whether it's the Supreme Court, or ensuring the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land, the choice could not be more clear. 7.5 years of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's leadership on the world stage has literally weakened America's place in the world and set larger parts of the world spinning apart. You know, history teaches us that weakness arouses evil. And when you look at a map of the wider Middle East today and compare that to a map the day that Hillary Clinton took over foreign policy for this country, it's almost doesn't even look like the same part of the world. I mean, feigning resets with Russia, moving red lines in Syria, boasting that they actually have been leading from behind, all are a testament to this simple truth of history. Despite traveling millions of miles as our Secretary of State, the world is more dangerous today than the day that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton took office. Our allies are less secure, our enemies are more emboldened, and that all changes the day that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. I mean, it's Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs needs to be talked about. I'm going to be headed over to Farmville first thing tomorrow morning.
What are you doing, Mike?
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I mean, Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs alone could take up the whole 90 minutes. And it wouldn't be a pretty picture.
No.
I mean, it was literally Hillary Clinton. It was Hillary Clinton who helped undo all of the hard-fought gains of the American soldier in Operation Iraqi Freedom. She supported President Obama's decision to withdraw all U.S. forces from Iraq after our servicemen and women had fought to secure that country in 2009. You know, before I go on, I know there's men and women who've worn the uniform of the United States gathered in this crowd in this evening here. Could you just raise your hand if you wore the uniform of the United States of America in the near term and the long term? And let us say thank you one more time. Thank you for your service. You know, when I think of the sacrifices that our soldiers made to secure Iraq, and I think of the way that ISIS filled a vacuum that was created by the reckless withdrawal of all U.S. combat forces in 2012, it grieves my heart. But it was also Hillary Clinton who actually initiated the disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran. They got $150 billion and $400 million on the very day that they released Americans from captivity. They received a pallet of $400 million in cash as a ransom payment for Americans.
That's right.
With the full assent of Hillary Clinton and her running mate, Tim Kaine.
Lock her up!
You know, I'll make you a promise. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States of America, we won't be paying ransom to terrorist sponsoring states. They'll be paying the price if they threaten or detain the American people or our allies. And lastly, it was Hillary Clinton. It was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi 4 years ago.
That's right.
That's right.
And after 4 Americans fell, she told the families of the fallen that it was due to a filmmaker in Florida, even though she'd emailed her daughter on the very same night of the attack that it was an Al-Qaeda-style terrorist attack. When she was challenged on it before a Senate committee, she actually said, quote, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, as the proud father of a United States Marine, let me say this. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. And Donald Trump will lead on the world stage with American strength. Donald Trump will rebuild our military, restore the arsenal of democracy, restore a strong relationship with allies across the world, including moderate Arab nations, and we will hunt down and destroy ISIS and any terrorist organization that threatens the people of the United States of America. That's probably why 160 retired generals and admirals have endorsed Donald Trump to be the next Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. But the record at home is just as disastrous as the record abroad. In 7.5 years of this administration, and policies that Hillary Clinton and her running mate are determined to continue, have resulted in the weakest economic recovery in America since the Great Depression. Millions more Americans are living in poverty today than the day this administration took office. And we have the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. Their solution? More of the same. More taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, more of the war on coal that's been stifling American energy. It truly is extraordinary when you think about it. I mean, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do. But the people of Virginia know better. It's not the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we're going to cut taxes across the board, roll back regulations, end the war on coal, repeal Obamacare, and we're going to get this economy moving again for the people of Virginia and the people of the United States. And I know that by putting these common sense principles into practice, that it all still works. Because you see, I come from a state that works, the great state of Indiana. You know, I mentioned a minute ago that tomorrow morning I'm going to be heading over to Farmville, to Longwood University. A little bit of a debate with your governor, your former governor, and your senator, Tim Kaine. And I'll tell you, while I I expect we're going to be talking about the visions and the choice the American people face at the top of the ticket. I kind of hope we get to talk about our records as well, because they're just a little bit different. I mean, when Tim Kaine was governor, he actually tried to raise taxes by $4 billion in 4 years. State of Indiana, I've signed more than $3.5 billion in tax relief for working families, small businesses, and family farms. When Tim Kaine was governor, he couldn't get a roads bill passed in Indiana. We're the crossroads of America. I actually signed into law $2.5 billion in roads and bridges and infrastructure for Indiana. When he was governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, he left the state $2 billion in the hole. I'm proud to say we've got the largest surplus in Indiana history, more than $2 billion in the bank, after record investments in roads and bridges. And while Tim Kaine was governor of Virginia, unemployment doubled. And while I've been governor of the state of Indiana, we've cut employment in half, and there's more Hoosiers working than ever before in the 200-year history of the state of Indiana. And that's exactly the kind of leadership that Donald Trump is going to bring to the White House with exactly the same results. Donald Trump and I have a plan to cut taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms, to end death taxes once and for all, and to lower business taxes in America so companies in Virginia can compete with companies around the world and keep jobs right here in the great state of Virginia. Donald Trump and I know that regulation stifles growth, so he's going to sign a moratorium on any new federal red tape, and he's going to repeal every single Obama executive order that's stifling jobs and growth. And here in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, where you know that coal means jobs, we're going to end the war on coal on day one of a Trump-Pence administration, and we're going to develop an all-of-the-above energy strategy to get this economy moving again. And when Donald Trump becomes negotiator-in-chief, you know where I'm going with that? When he becomes negotiator-in-chief, not in the Constitution, yet. When Donald Trump becomes negotiator-in-chief, we're going to renegotiate NAFTA. We're going to get out of TPP even before it starts, and we're going to have trade deals that work for the American worker. We're going to hold our trading partners accountable for the commitments that they make for the people of the United States of America. Now, a lot of economists think that's going to result in a lot of growth. 25 million jobs with a Trump-Pence economic plan. 3.5% growth in the first 4 years. Now, Hillary Clinton said recently she thought that those estimates were, quote, wildly unrealistic, Dave. But you know what you and I both know is the only thing wildly unrealistic is electing the same people with the same bad ideas and expecting a different result. When Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we're going to get this economy moving again by putting common sense, conservative principles into practice. And they work every time. You know, lastly, I'll mention one last thing before I close and let you get back to your evening. And that is, you know, it seems like during the course of this administration, it seems like there's no aspect of their lives too small for the present administration to supervise. No provision of the Constitution too large for them to ignore. And as this election approaches, I want to remind all of you, and I want you to remind your neighbors and friends, that while we're electing a president for a 4-year term, the next president will probably set the course and direction of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years. And we better think about that real carefully. Elect Hillary Clinton, and you better get subject to more unelected judges using unaccountable power to take unconstitutional actions.
That's right.
We can keep the dead people away from the
Elect
polls.
Donald Trump. And you will have a president and a running mate at his side who will nominate men and women to the courts of this land, who will uphold our Constitution in the tradition of the late and great Justice Antonin Scalia. Strict constructionist, conservative jurist. And so I say to you, for the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of life, for the sake of defending the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, for the sake of preserving all of the God-given liberties that are enshrined in our Bill of Rights and our founding documents, Virginia, we must decide here and now in this place that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States of America will be President Donald Trump. So it's about security. It's about our prosperity. And it's about the highest court in the land. But it's also, as we know, it's about making sure that we have the highest standards of integrity in the highest office in the land. It's extraordinary to follow the career of the Clintons in recent years, during her years as Secretary of State, to know that they had a private foundation that accepted contributions from foreign governments and foreign donors while she was Secretary of State. And that while she refused to turn over some 33,000 emails, thanks to the good efforts of organizations and of courts and the work of the FBI, we found more than 15,000 of those emails, and we found written evidence that major foreign donors to the Clinton Foundation actually were given special access to the Secretary of State's office, more than half of her private meetings.
Lock her up! Lock her
And
up!
the Clintons said that if she becomes president, that they'll no longer accept foreign contributions to the Clinton Foundation, because it'd be a conflict of interest. But I got to tell you, if it would be a conflict of interest when she was president of the United States, how was it not a conflict of interest when she was Secretary of State of the United States of America? You know, the truth of the matter is the American people are tired of pay-to-play politics in all of its forms. And it's exactly the kind of politics that's going to come to an end the day that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States. When Donald Trump becomes president, I promise you, the day for the rigged system that benefits the favored few is over. When Donald Trump walks into the Oval Office, his only special interest will be you, the American people, and he's going to fight for you and for your prosperity and your security every single day that he serves. I promise you that. Now, as I close, I just want to challenge you. I hope you leave here on this beautiful October night with a little bit of a burden on your heart, to go tell somebody about what you've heard. You know, I truly do believe that moments like this, 35 days away from a day of decision for America, that those of us that cherish our Constitution, those of us that believe we can have a stronger America at home and abroad, those of us that believe that we can get this economy moving again and uphold the highest standards, the highest office in the land, we got to go tell somebody. I mean, by the end of the speech, I'm going to say, move that bus. And we're going to roll. We're going to roll through Virginia, through North Carolina, through Pennsylvania and Ohio, and we're going to keep rolling. Because I got to tell you, and Donald Trump has been to 3 different stops today. We're going to work our hearts out. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump only has 1 vote, and I only have 1 vote. And I got to tell you that as you leave here tonight, I hope you'll tell somebody. I hope you'll find somebody at work or at worship or over a backyard fence or stop them outside the drugstore and just tell them why Donald Trump must be the next president of the United States. Tell them we can make America great again, but it's going to take new leadership to do it. But when you tell them that, and you tell them about the choice that I laid out for you tonight, I hope you'll tell them one more thing. And that is that in these divided times in our nation, when it seems like every issue seems to be divided into for and against, every time you turn on the television, everything that's discussed has always got a pro and a con. Donald Trump and I come from the view that there will always be more in this country that unites us than will ever divide the people of the United States of America. It has a lot to do with faith. It has a lot to do with faith. Faith in God and faith in the American dream. You know, Donald Trump and I share both of those convictions. I've spent some time with this good man when the Klieg lights are off. We've reflected on our faith in God and faith in the American dream. We've prayed together. And I encourage you, if you're so inclined, to bow the head and bend the knee, to do that in the next 35 days. Pray for this country.
Yeah.
Pray for all the men and women who are standing to make America great again. But I'll also tell you, Donald Trump and I, we just got to know each other a couple months ago. And we're a little bit different. He's charismatic, bigger than life, very interesting. And then there's me, right? But the truth is, we found out that we shared a lot of things when we first got to know each other. His grandfather immigrated to this country. My grandfather came to this country from Ireland. His father was a self-made man who built a business with his own hands. My dad built a little gas station business in a small town in southern Indiana. His family and mine, our folks build everything that matters. A family, a business, and a good name. And we were both raised to believe that to whom much is given, much will be required. Okay? And so for him, that meant the kid from Queens went to Manhattan Island and built the big buildings and a global name. And for me, it was a calling into public service. I had the privilege to serve in the Congress and as governor, and to be in this position is incredibly humbling to me. I mean, I always tell people, other than a whole lot of zeros, Donald Trump and I have a lot in common. I mean, a lot. A lot of zeros. And it's a belief in the American dream. It's a belief that in this country, anybody can be anybody. I mean, we're standing here in Virginia, where the ideals of this nation were minted by the likes of Washington and Jefferson and Madison. And it's this meritocracy in which we live that we just call the American dream. And I just have to tell you, as you leave here today, definitely lay out the choice. Because I think this choice it's not a choice between one candidate who'll take America this far up and another one that'll take it this far up. This is a choice between whether we're going to continue to go downhill to a weaker America at home and abroad, to a more struggling and stifling American economy, or whether we're going to stop, turn around, plant our feet, and march back up the hill to a stronger and more prosperous America for our children and our grandchildren. That's what the choice is. So I need you to go tell the choice. But I really do hope you'll also talk about the aspiration, and you'll say, and I heard from Mike about the choice, but also you just got to know that Donald Trump and Mike Pence are working in the White House. After January 20th of next year, you're going to have two people who come from families that have lived the American dream, and we are going to work our hearts out until the American dream comes alive for everyone in this country, regardless of race or creed or color or gender. We're going to fight to revive the American dream for all the people of the United States. And you go tell them that. So the choice could not be more clear. The American people can literally elect someone who personifies a failed establishment in Washington, D.C. Or we can choose a leader, a truth teller, a broad-shouldered man who will step forward and fight to make America great again every day. It's change versus the status quo. And so let me lay it out for you one more time. Number one, if you want a president who will protect this nation at home and abroad, rebuild our military, restore the arsenal of democracy, and hunt down and destroy any terrorist organization that threatens our people at home and abroad, if you want a president who will stand by the men and women of law enforcement in America, give them the tools and the resources to protect our family and come home safe to theirs, if you want a president who will cut taxes, grow this economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel, if you want a president who will uphold the rule of law for the citizens of this country, who will secure our borders and reform a broken immigration system so that it works for the American people and an American future, and if you want a president who will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, then I want to say to you, my friends and neighbors here in Virginia, you have but one choice. And I'm here to tell you, that man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. Let's go make sure that Virginia is ready. And if you do that, I know that we will elect Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States of America, and we will make America great again.